Hi, my name is Barry Stratford. I am a complex commercial litigation partner at Perkins Coie. I have been in Arizona for about 13 years now, and since 2014 have been involved with the Arizona LGBT Bar. So the organization was founded in 2014. We initially started out with a working group in the early part of 2014, and I believe by the end of the year we had officially filed our paperwork and become an official organization. I believe we also were able to be a part of the state bar's reception that year and had an opening reception at the convention that was great to sort of launch the effort and kickstart the organization. For background as to why the organization got started, so it really goes back a long time. The SOGI committee, the Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity Committee of the State Bar, my understanding it had been founded in around 1999 as a result of a task force that the State Bar had commissioned to look at issues related to sexual orientation and gender identity discrimination and bias in the legal community. And that committee has done a fantastic job. It was started by and filled with many queer trailblazers in the Arizona legal community. Over the course of its time, it was clear that there were some members of the bar who were, I think, a small but vocal group who sort of challenged the bar's funding of the SOGI committee and really sort of questioned whether that was the proper use of the bar's resources. So as part of that, and I think as well, having individuals on SOGI who wanted to be a little more outspoken about LGBTQ issues, the idea of a separate independent bar organization really started to gain traction.
My name is Randy McDonald. The first part of my career, I was a commercial litigator at Osborne Maladon and Perkins Coie. And about 5 years ago, I left private practice, and I now run the post-conviction clinic at Arizona State University College of Law. I guess I became involved in the LGBT Bar Association probably shortly after I graduated from law school. It was a relatively new organization in 2015, 2016. And I became involved through a colleague of mine at Perkins Coie named Barry Stratford. And after becoming involved, I joined the board, and a few years later, I became the president of the organization. The LGBT Bar Association is really just a group of legal professionals who identify as members of the LGBT community or as allies. We're sort of very broadly welcoming, not just to lawyers, but to legal professionals. LGBT citizens of Arizona generally have legal needs that are sometimes more distinct from people who are not members of our community. And so we seek to serve not only lawyers who are members of our community, but citizens of Arizona at large who may need the services of our members.
My name is Will Comer, and I am the general counsel with the Arizona Education Association. It is the largest labor union here in Arizona with over 20,000 members, and I've been there since 2023. My involvement with the Arizona LGBT Bar Association has been a previous board member in the past, but also as a member, I want to say since around like 2016-ish, maybe 2017 was when I first got involved with this bar association, and wanted to give myself an opportunity to meet other people that identify the same way that I do in my experience as an attorney. And this group has been a place where I can find people that I know have common experiences with me. It's the intersection between the LGBTQIA plus experience and the legal field. And that doesn't just apply to what my experience has been like as an attorney, practicing in several different cities, where it does feel like the needs of the legal community also need to be addressed from an changes politically where people that are part of the queer community have had the need for an attorney that specializes in those LGBTQ matters. And I feel like our organization brings people together that can not only meet that mission, but identify, our allies that are willing to also address those concerns as well. Yeah, one of the accomplishments for the organization that I am most proud of is that it has become a place for upcoming law students to also find connections with practicing attorneys and law firms that are supportive of our representation and our community.
I mean, I think the fact that we exist is an accomplishment that I'm very proud of. For a long time, members of our community were not welcome in the legal field. And so obviously that has changed in the last few decades. People are much more out now. People are much more open and welcoming. But I think just the existence of our community is an important step in the right direction.
My involvement through this organization has shaped the lens of how I understand and connect with people that may have the needs that I'm privileged enough to say that I was able to obtain from the legal experience and the legal knowledge that I have up until this stage in my life. But there's always going to be someone out there who might just not see themselves represented. And if I'm that person that can show that and be visible so that someone behind me feels encouraged to do the same things that I've done within my career, then it will all be worth it in the end.
Being an LGBT person today is different than it was 10 or 20 or 30 years ago. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, LGBT people were not very visible. They were not well represented in the culture. That has changed drastically now. And as a result, I think that young people who are becoming lawyers now, who are members of our community, have vastly different needs and concerns than we did. I think one of the things that I was most concerned about coming up as a young gay person was just the fact that I didn't know any other LGBT people. And just being an out LGBT person was something that, as a young person, I don't even think I could have fathomed. And today, people are worried about different things. There are other issues.
When the LGBT Bar Association was first founded, it was at a time when there was a lot of transformative change happening. Don't Ask, Don't Tell had been repealed in 2011. I think we had Tammy Baldwin was the first openly queer individual elected to the U.S. Senate in 2012. The Defense of Marriage Act had been overturned in 2013. So it was a time where there was a lot of change in the community, a time when there was a need to be really sort of outspoken and involved on issues that impact the queer community. So hopefully, over the past decade, we've seen a lot of sort of evolution on that, and that people can be more comfortable to be themselves, be open at work, that they're going to face less sort of bias and discrimination, conscious or otherwise, as part of their work. We certainly still have a long way to go, especially for the transgender community, and hopefully we continue to make progress so that people can live their authentic lives. Yeah, hopefully we'll have many more years practicing here in Arizona. But as far as the legacy that I hope certainly myself and the Arizona LGBTQ plus Bar Association leaves, is providing a platform and an opportunity for members of the queer community to get together to talk about the issues that are important, to promote justice and equality.
Hope to leave as far as my legacy is just that I made I made the job for the person behind me a little bit better, or that I left things better than how I got them. I feel like that's always a balance that I've never been able to fully like be satisfied with, but the hard work that we are doing today is going to make it better for the person behind us.
Well, I hope I'm not leaving a legacy for a long time, because I hope to continue to be involved in our organization and to practice law for a long time. But if I'm thinking in the future, my hope is that my legacy is that I was a part of an organization that was able to change for changing times. And I think that's really what this organization is about. I think that's why we are, reforming ourselves with an eye towards the future.